Moving on to allegorical, mythological, and historical pictures. These broadly are much more commercial because they tend to be brighter, dynamic, theatrical, lots of action, and the stories are perhaps familiar from your student days or childhood days when you learned about Greek and Roman mythology. As a subsection of history, there is portraiture. Now, let's think about the portrait of Henry VIII, and we're showing you an image now. Henry VIII is a fat, bloated, corpulent man. If he were not king, we would just regard him as this. However, he is king, and so we regard this portrait as one of power, an iconography of princely Renaissance status. So portraits of kings and queens are always popular. If you are an 18th century man wearing a dusty wig and a dusty coat who did nothing of note, then you are unlikely to be commercial as a portrait. However, through the lens of 2019, if you're a portrait of a lady, an attractive lady, and ideally even painted by a lady, you are very commercial in today's market, and rightly so. I think of the National Gallery acquisition recently of a picture by Artemisia Gentileschi, the daughter of Orazio Gentileschi. There are not many Old Master female painters who have been acknowledged, and yet more and more, day by day, come on the radar and are acknowledged both commercially and art historically, and that is a very good thing. Turning on to genre pictures, the picture of everyday life in the 17th and 18th century, predominantly in England and the Dutch Republic. These broadly are less commercial. Notwithstanding our love of selfies, people want glamour, not necessarily everyday peasant life from the 17th century. The great exception would, of course, be Bruegel. Now, turning to a subcategory of genre pictures, animals. Now, welcome Roxy, the new team member of Haldane Fine Art. She's in training for her Old Master paintings and doing very well. Pictures of dogs are universally popular. Think of Peggy Guggenheim's love of pugs. Think of Hogarth's love of pugs, whom he features in one of his famous portraits. Think of Jeff Koons's sculpture of a puppy. Think of any number of artists. Pierre Bonnard's Dachshund. Now, dog pictures, always popular. Cat pictures, if they are kittens, always popular. In fact, baby animals generally are always popular. However, sheep and cows are broadly not popular. You should avoid those in the same way as actually, in terms of historical and mythological pictures, you should probably avoid shipwreck pictures. Over death, bad. Now, Flower Still Lives is another subcategory of the genre market. Now, these, again, broadly, are less commercial. And you have to think about whether a 17th century still life of flowers, which is a wonderful explosion of color and vitality, is going to work on a whitewashed wall in your new contemporary designed home. That is the major limiting factor commercially. Interior design, in contrast with flower pictures from the 17th and 18th century. Now, what you ideally want is all the factors of subject matter, rarity, authorship, provenance, condition, and the expectation of the vendor or the buyer. And we will look at all of these in the weeks to come. Rarity is next, but I hope you found this useful. From both Roxy and myself, thank you very much. Watch the next episode of the Haldane Fine Art YouTube channel.